20 gospel legends you didn't know passed away. Stop scrolling. You think you know the history of music, but you've been lied to. Before Elvis, before rock and roll, and before the billion-dollar pop industry, there was a group of rebels who changed everything using nothing but their voices and raw faith. We are counting down 20 titans who broke racial barriers, defied the devil, and paved the way for every superstar you listen to today. From the godmother who invented the power chord to the godfather who survived the fire, this is the ultimate pantheon. Subscribe to Black Excellence Legends right now and hit that bell. You cannot afford to miss the history they tried to erase. Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia Jackson was more than a vocalist. She was a seismic force that reshaped the American cultural landscape. Born in New Orleans in 1911, her voice possessed a rich contralto depth that seemed to bypass the ears and resonate directly within the soul. Despite numerous lucrative offers to sing secular blues, Mahalia remained steadfast in her devotion to the church, famously stating that blues were the songs of despair, while gospel was the music of hope. This unwavering integrity defined her career as she transformed Move On Up a Little Higher into a 1947 masterpiece that sold millions, proving that sacred music could dominate the commercial charts without losing its spiritual essence. Her influence extended far beyond the pulpit. As a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, she provided the sonic backdrop for social change. Mahalia was a close confidant of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it was her powerful shout of "Tell them about the dream, Martin," during the 1963 March on Washington, that prompted him to depart from his prepared notes and deliver his most iconic speech. When she sang "I've been booked and I've been scorned" to a crowd of 250,000, she wasn't just performing, she was channeling the collective pain and aspiration of an entire nation. Her passing on January 27, 1972, at the age of 60, marked the end of an era. Yet her legacy is etched into the very foundation of modern music. She was the first gospel artist to perform at Carnegie Hall and the first to host her own radio and television programs, shattering racial and genre barriers. Mahalia Jackson's voice remains a testament to the power of conviction, a reminder that music, when fueled by faith, can move mountains and alter the course of history. Keith Wonderboy Johnson. Keith Wonderboy Johnson was a vibrant luminary who bridged the gap between the gritty, soulful traditions of gospel quartets and the polished aesthetics of contemporary praise. Born in Brooklyn in 1972, he earned his moniker Wonderboy at the tender age of 5, a testament to a prodigious musicality that seemed to flow effortlessly from his spirit. Unlike many of his peers who pivoted entirely toward urban R&B sounds, Keith remained a staunch custodian of the quartet style, a genre characterized by tight vocal harmonies and rhythmic guitar-driven energy, while infusing it with a modern swagger that captivated younger audiences. His breakthrough arrived with the formation of the Spiritual Voices, leading to the release of the 1998 anthem, Send a Revival. This track didn't just climb the charts, it ignited a renewed interest in group-based gospel. Keith's vocal delivery was marked by a smooth, charismatic rasp that could transition from a gentle whisper to a thunderous proclamation of faith. His most beloved contribution, Let Go and Let God, released in 2005, became a universal mantra for the weary. The song earned him a stellar award and solidified his reputation as a hitmaker who prioritized spiritual utility over mere entertainment. Tragically, the world lost this beacon of joy on September 30th, 2022, at the age of 50. Despite battling health complications throughout his life, his public persona was always one of exuberant resilience. He spent his final years tirelessly touring and mentoring emerging groups, ensuring that the art of the gospel quartet would survive the digital age. Keith Wonderboy Johnson didn't just sing about miracles. He was a bridge builder who ensured that the ancestral sounds of the church stayed relevant, funky, and profoundly transformative for a new generation of believers. Thomas A. Dorsey. Thomas Andrew Dorsey was the definitive pioneer who successfully married the somber reverence of the sanctuary with the rhythmic grit of the Mississippi Delta. Born in Georgia in 1899, Dorsey's early career as Georgia Tom saw him gain notoriety as a formidable blues pianist for Ma Rainey. However, a series of profound personal tragedies and a spiritual awakening prompted a radical shift in his artistic trajectory. He began composing gospel songs, a term he helped popularize to describe a new fusion of traditional hymns and the improvisational soul of bachata and blues. Initially met with resistance by conservative church leaders who deemed his music devilish, Dorsey's persistence eventually transformed the very fabric of African American worship. The defining moment of his legacy arrived in 1932. While away at a revival meeting, Dorsey received the devastating news that his wife Nettie and their newborn son had passed away during childbirth. In the depths of his inconsolable grief, he sat at a piano and penned, "Take My Hand, Precious Lord." This masterpiece became the gold standard of gospel music, translated into dozens of languages and famously serving as a source of strength for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Queen Elizabeth II. Dorsey didn't just write music. He codified the industry by co-founding the National Convention of Gospel Choirs and Choruses, an institution that preserved the integrity of the genre for decades. By the time of his passing on January 23, 1993, at the age of 93, Dorsey had authored over 400 songs, including the hopeful Peace in the Valley. His influence is immeasurable as he provided the blueprint for every gospel artist that followed. He proved that the most profound spiritual truths could be expressed through the blue notes of human struggle. Thomas A. Dorsey didn't just create a genre, he gave a voice to the voiceless, ensuring that the raw, honest emotions of the human condition would forever have a place in the house of the Lord. Albertina Walker. Albertina Walker was the undisputed queen of gospel, a title she earned not just through her thunderous, soul-stirring vocals, but through her unparalleled role as the genre's premier talent scout. Born in Chicago in 1929, Albertina's voice was a rich tapestry of power and nuance, honed in the choir lofts of the West Side. However, her greatest contribution to the musical world was the formation of the legendary group The Caravans in 1951. Under her visionary leadership, the Caravans became a finishing school for gospel excellence, launching the careers of icons like Shirley Caesar, Inez Andrews, and Cassietta George. Albertina possessed a unique, selfless ear. She was never afraid to let her protégés shine brighter than herself, understanding that the message of the music was far greater than any individual ego. Throughout her six-decade career, Albertina remained a steadfast guardian of the traditional Chicago gospel sound, a style marked by emotive storytelling and a heavy blues-influenced piano accompaniment. Her recording of Please Be Patient With Me became a massive crossover hit, earning a gold record and proving that deep spiritual vulnerability had a place on the national airwaves. She garnered a Grammy Award, multiple Stellar Awards, and even an invitation to the White House, yet she never lost her down-home grit. Albertina viewed gospel as a ministry of endurance. She sang for the brokenhearted and the marginalized, her voice serving as a sturdy bridge between the hardships of the Jim Crow era and the hope of the future. When Albertina passed away on October 8, 2010, at the age of 81, she left behind a vacuum that may never be filled. She was the matriarch who kept the flame of quartet and choral music burning during shifts in popular taste. To listen to Albertina is to hear the history of the Black church itself, resilient, joyful, and profoundly authoritative. She didn't just sing the gospel, she cultivated it, planting seeds in the lives of countless artists who continue to harvest her wisdom today. The queen is gone, but the dynasty she built remains the bedrock of modern sacred song. Edwin Hawkins. Edwin Hawkins was the visionary catalyst who single-handedly dragged gospel music into the technicolor world of modern pop. Born in Oakland, California in 1943, Edwin was a musical prodigy who grew up in a household where harmony was the primary language. In 1967, while serving as the choir director for the Northern California State Youth Choir, he made a decision that would alter the course of music history. He recorded an album to raise funds for a trip to a convention. The standout track was "Oh Happy Day," a reimagined 18th century hymn infused with a bossa nova beat and soulful, sophisticated arrangements. What began as a local fundraising effort unexpectedly exploded into a global juggernaut, selling over 7 million copies and becoming the first gospel song to reach the top of the secular charts worldwide. Edwin's genius lay in his ability to blend the sacred with the stylish. He possessed a sophisticated harmonic sensibility that borrowed from jazz and contemporary R&B, creating a sound that was both spiritually grounded and radio-friendly. While some traditionalists initially criticized Oh Happy Day for being too worldly, Edwin remained unbothered, believing that the message of joy should be accessible to everyone regardless of their religious background. His work earned him 4 Grammy Awards and paved the way for future crossover stars like Kirk Franklin and Mary Mary. He didn't just change the sound of the choir, he changed the industry's perception of what gospel music could be, proving that a song of praise could resonate in a discotheque just as powerfully as in a cathedral. Until his passing on January 15, 2018, at the age of 74, Edwin remained a dedicated mentor and an advocate for choral excellence. Through his Edwin Hawkins Music and Arts Seminar, he trained thousands of musicians in the technical and spiritual nuances of the craft. He was a pioneer who refused to be confined by labels, a man whose infectious arrangements reminded the world that faith and rhythm are not mutually exclusive. Edwin Hawkins didn't just give us a hit song, he gave us a global anthem of hope that continues to be sung by millions, proving that a happy day is a universal human aspiration that transcends time and creed. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Sister Rosetta Tharpe was a force of nature who defied every social, racial, and musical boundary of the mid-20th century. Born in 1915 in Arkansas, she was a child prodigy who mastered the guitar long before women were supposed to play the instrument. While the church provided her spiritual foundation, the world became her stage. Rosetta was the first great recording star of gospel music, but she was also a secret architect of rock and roll. With her fingers flying across the fretboard and her voice reaching heights of ecstatic fervor, she delivered a high-voltage sound that was years ahead of its time. When she recorded Strange Things Happening Every Day in 1944, she laid down the blueprint for the rhythmic drive and rebellious spirit that would later define the teenage revolution of the 1950s. Rosetta was a pioneer of the crossover. She performed in nightclubs like the Cotton Club and headlined Carnegie Hall, bringing the fervor of the storefront church to the secular masses. Her guitar technique, characterized by heavy distortion, bending notes, and rapid-fire picking, influenced legends like Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry. Yet she faced immense scrutiny for her worldly lifestyle and for daring to bring the electric guitar into the sanctuary. Rosetta remained undeterred, a flamboyant and fearless artist who wore furs and drove a bus with her name on the side, proving that a woman of faith could also be a superstar. She was a bridge between the spiritual and the visceral, a performer who understood that the spirit and the blues often lived in the same breath. By the time she passed away on October 9, 1973, at the age of 58, Rosetta had been somewhat forgotten by the mainstream she helped create. However, history eventually caught up to her genius. Her 2018 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as an early influence finally solidified her status as the godmother of rock and roll. Sister Rosetta Tharpe was the original guitar hero, a woman who broke the glass ceiling with a power chord and a prayer. To listen to her today is to hear the birth of modern music, a raw, electric, and divinely inspired sound that reminded the world that the loudest music can often be the most sacred. Walter Hawkins. Walter Hawkins was a transformative figure who refined the raw energy of traditional gospel into a sophisticated, lush, and deeply emotive musical experience. Born in Oakland, California in 1949, Walter was a cornerstone of the legendary Hawkins family, yet he carved out a distinct identity as a composer and choir master. While his brother Edwin broke global records, Walter focused on the internal architecture of the church sound, founding the Love Center Church in Oakland and its world-renowned choir, the Love Center Choir. His seminal Love Alive series of albums, starting in 1975, redefined what it meant to record live worship, moving away from simple congregational singing toward complex jazz-influenced vocal arrangements and soul-stirring ballads that felt both intimate and grand. Walter's genius was his ability to write songs that resonated as personal testimonies while serving as universal anthems of faith. His masterpiece, Going Up Yonder, became a definitive standard for funerals and homegoing services, offering a hopeful rhythmic perspective on the transition to the afterlife. Another hit, Be Grateful, showcased his skill in balancing vulnerability with vocal power, influencing a generation of R&B and gospel singers who sought to emulate his smooth, polished production style. Walter didn't just lead a choir, he directed a collective spiritual movement, insisting on a level of musical excellence and emotional honesty that elevated the entire genre. He was a bridge builder who saw no conflict between high-level musicianship and sincere devotion. When Walter Hawkins passed away on July 11, 2010 at the age of 61, the music world lost a profound theologian of song. Throughout his career, he garnered numerous accolades, including a Grammy Award and multiple Stellar Awards. But his true legacy lies in the Love Center sound, a blend of urban sophistication and Pentecostal fire. He proved that gospel music could be intellectually stimulating and emotionally healing at the same time. Today, his compositions remain staples in churches around the globe, ensuring that his message of love and grace continues to ascend, much like the lyrics of his most famous songs, toward a higher plane of existence. Joe Ligon. Joe Ligon was the electrifying frontman whose gravelly powerhouse vocals transformed the traditional gospel quartet into a global soul-funk phenomenon. Born in Alabama and later moving to Los Angeles, Ligon co-founded the Mighty Clouds of Joy in 1955, a group that would dismantle the rigid barriers between the church and the concert hall. With his unmistakable raspy baritone, a voice that sounded like it had been seasoned by decades of spiritual fire, Joe brought a visceral, shout-driven energy to the stage. He was a master of the gospel drive, a technique where the singer pushes the intensity to a fever pitch, blurring the lines between divine worship and raw, rhythmic soul. Under his leadership, the group became the first gospel act to appear on Soul Train, proving that a message of faith could thrive on a platform of funk. Ligon's genius was his fearless embrace of musical evolution. While many quartets remained stagnant, Joe pushed the Clouds to incorporate electric guitars, heavy bass lines, and R&B sensibilities. This bold fusion resulted in timeless hits like Mighty High and I've Been in the Storm Too Long, earning the group 3 Grammy Awards and numerous Stellar Awards. His performance style was characterized by a magnetic, sweat-soaked intensity. He didn't just sing a song, he wrestled with it, channeling the collective struggles and triumphs of his audience. Joe's influence extended deeply into secular music, as his soulful delivery provided a blueprint for R&B legends who sought to capture that same authentic church-bred passion in their own recordings. By the time Joe Ligon passed away on December 11, 2016, at the age of 80, he had spent over 60 years on the road as a tireless ambassador for the gospel. He remained a commanding presence until the very end, his voice never losing its authoritative grit-infused rumble. He left behind a legacy of innovation, proving that gospel music could be commercially successful and musically progressive without sacrificing its spiritual core. Joe Ligon didn't just lead a group, he led a revolution in sound, ensuring that the Mighty Clouds would forever cast a long, soulful shadow over the history of American music, reminding us that the spirit of praise is most powerful when it is delivered with uncompromising honesty and rhythm. Andraé Crouch. Andraé Crouch was a revolutionary force who single-handedly modernized the sound of sacred music, making it resonate far beyond the wooden pews of the traditional church. Born in San Francisco in 1942, Andraé was a prodigious talent who overcame a childhood stutter through the power of song. He emerged as a trailblazer in the late 1960s with his group, The Disciples, introducing a fresh contemporary fusion of pop, R&B, and rock into gospel music. While purists initially questioned his use of drum kits and synthesizers in a spiritual context, Andraé's music was undeniably anointed. His compositions like The Blood Will Never Lose Its Power and To God Be the Glory were not just songs, they became global anthems that unified diverse denominations across the planet, proving that the language of faith could be expressed through modern rhythms. Andraé's genius was his extraordinary ability to bridge the sacred-secular divide. He became the go-to collaborator for some of the biggest icons in pop history. His fingerprints are all over Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror and Madonna's Like a Prayer, where he arranged the choral backing that gave those tracks their spiritual soul. He also left an indelible mark on Hollywood, contributing to the soundtracks of The Color Purple and The Lion King. Despite his mainstream success and 7 Grammy Awards, Andraé remained a humble servant of his faith, eventually taking up the mantle of pastor at his father's church. He possessed a unique harmonic sensibility, often called the Crouch sound, which utilized sophisticated chord progressions and lush vocal stacks that influenced every gospel artist from the 1970s to the present day. When Andraé Crouch passed away on January 8, 2015, at the age of 72, the music world lost its most prolific bridge builder. He was a man who understood that music was a universal medium of grace. He shattered the glass ceiling for gospel artists, proving that one could remain true to the gospel while commanding the respect of the entire music industry. His legacy is a vibrant tapestry of innovation and devotion, a reminder that the message of hope is most effective when it is translated into the sounds of the contemporary world. Andraé Crouch didn't just write music, he gave the world a new way to worship, ensuring that the sound of the church would forever be vibrant, inclusive, and profoundly relevant. Sally Moholo. Sally Moholo was a cultural phenomenon who redefined the landscape of South African gospel music through his high-energy performances and deep commitment to social commentary. Born in 1959, he emerged as a distinctive voice that resonated profoundly with the working class and spiritual communities across the continent. Known for his signature khaki uniform and energetic mokuku dance steps, Moholo brought a visceral rhythmic intensity to the stage that was rooted in the Zion Christian church traditions. His music was not just a spiritual exercise, it was a rhythmic explosion of faith that addressed the daily struggles and moral complexities of post-apartheid South Africa. With hits like Die Pope Saldans and Chwara Mo Thata, he proved that gospel music could be both a dance floor filler and a source of profound spiritual nourishment. Moholo's genius lay in his ability to maintain cultural authenticity while achieving massive commercial success. He was a master of the ZCC gospel subgenre characterized by heavy brass arrangements, stomping rhythms, and call-and-response vocals. His voice, marked by a passionate and commanding tone, served as a rallying cry for the faithful and the marginalized alike. Beyond his musical prowess, Sally was a respected spiritual leader and a philanthropist who used his platform to advocate for social justice and community empowerment. He understood that the gospel was not confined to the walls of a church. It was a living, breathing force that should inspire people to live with dignity and hope. His albums consistently achieved multi-platinum status, solidifying his place as one of the most bankable and beloved artists in the history of African music. The music world was plunged into darkness in October 2024 when Sally Moholo passed away at the age of 65 following complications from a stroke. His death marked the end of an era for South African gospel, leaving a void in the hearts of millions of Bakwena, his devoted followers. Moholo was more than an entertainer. He was a guardian of South African spiritual identity. He taught a generation how to celebrate their faith with their whole bodies, transforming the act of worship into a vibrant, communal celebration of life. Though his physical voice has fallen silent, his recordings continue to blast from taxis, radios, and church speakers across Africa, ensuring that the legendary rhythm of the Mokuku King will never stop beating. Dottie Peoples. Dottie Peoples was a powerhouse vocalist whose artistry embodied the bridge between traditional church shouting and the polished delivery of contemporary gospel. Born in Dayton, Ohio in 1950, Dottie began her journey in the choir, but her talent was so undeniable that she was soon recruited to tour with jazz icons and secular ensembles. However, her heart remained anchored in the sanctuary. When she eventually signed with Atlanta International Records, she unleashed a sound that was both gritty and sophisticated. Dottie possessed a rare old-school vocal texture, a robust mahogany-toned voice that could command an arena without a microphone. Her 1995 smash hit, He's an On-Time God, became more than a song. It became a global proverb for the faithful, reminding millions that divine intervention operates on its own schedule. Her genius lay in her charismatic stage presence and her ability to make every listener feel like they were sitting in her front parlor. Known as the Songbird of the South, Dottie's performances were masterclasses in emotional pacing. She understood the drive of gospel music, building a song from a gentle testimony into the high-voltage spiritual celebration. Beyond her chart-topping success, she was a pioneer for independent female artists in the industry, proving that a woman could lead her own group and command the respect of a male-dominated field. She garnered numerous Stellar and Dove Awards and a Grammy nomination, yet she remained accessible to her fans, often referred to as a sister friend to the masses. Her music didn't just entertain, it provided a rhythmic foundation for hope during life's most turbulent seasons. The gospel community mourned deeply when Dottie Peoples passed away on March 21, 2023, at the age of 72. Her departure left a void in the world of traditional gospel, where her voice had served as a sturdy pillar for decades. Dottie left behind a legacy of resilience and unyielding faith. She taught a generation that on time didn't mean fast, but meant right. Her recordings continue to be the heartbeat of Sunday mornings, ensuring that her soulful vibrato and her message of God's punctuality will remain a source of comfort for generations to come. Dottie Peoples didn't just sing about the light. She was the light, a vibrant beacon of joy, who proved that when you sing from the soul, the whole world listens. Clara Ward. Clara Ward was a transformative visionary who injected a sense of high-fashion pageantry and sophisticated vocal brilliance into the world of sacred music. Born in Philadelphia in 1924, she was the driving force behind the world-famous Ward Singers, a group that redefined the gospel aesthetic during the 1940s and 50s. Clara possessed a crystalline, powerful voice, but her true genius lay in her role as a master arranger and a bold entrepreneur. She shattered the somber image of the church singer by introducing sequined gowns, towering wigs, and Cadillac limousines to the gospel circuit. While some traditionalists bristled at her flamboyant style, Clara understood that the grandeur of her presentation was a reflection of the majesty of the message she carried. Her hit song, Surely God is Able, became the first gospel single to sell 1 million copies, proving that sacred art could be a commercial powerhouse. Her musical innovation was as striking as her appearance. Clara introduced intricate, multi-layered harmonies and rhythmic shifts that moved away from the simple congregational style toward a more theatrical and dynamic experience. She was a pioneer of the crossover long before the term existed, leading her group to perform at prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall and the Newport Jazz Festival. She even pushed boundaries by taking gospel into the nightclubs of Las Vegas, a move that sparked intense controversy, but successfully brought the gospel message to audiences who would never step foot in a sanctuary. Her influence was so profound that it helped lay the musical foundation for the development of rock and roll and soul, with artists like Aretha Franklin, who considered Clara a primary mentor, citing her as a foundational inspiration for their own vocal delivery. By the time Clara Ward passed away on January 16, 1973, at the age of 48, she had irrevocably altered the landscape of American music. She was a woman who refused to be confined by the expectations of the era, proving that one could be both a devout servant of faith and a glamorous superstar. She broke racial and gender barriers with a flourish of sequins and a powerhouse soprano. Her legacy lives on in every gospel artist who dares to be bold, stylish, and innovative. Clara Ward didn't just sing the gospel, she staged it with a level of excellence and flair that reminded the world that the divine is not just sacred, but magnificent. James Cleveland. James Cleveland was a titan whose influence on sacred music was so vast that he was rightfully crowned the King of Gospel. Born in Chicago in 1931, his musical DNA was intertwined with the greats, having been mentored by Thomas A. Dorsey and Mahalia Jackson. While he didn't possess a traditionally pretty voice, his baritone was famously gravelly and strained. He used that raw emotional texture to create a sense of profound spiritual urgency. James was a master of the modern gospel sound, blending the traditional spirituals of the South with the urban grit of the North. His 1963 masterpiece, Peace Be Still, revolutionized the industry by staying at the top of the charts for years, proving that a choir recording could achieve the same commercial success as a secular pop album. Beyond his vocal prowess, Cleveland was a visionary organizer who transformed gospel from a collection of independent artists into a unified global movement. In 1968, he founded the Gospel Music Workshop of America, GMWA, an organization that became the world's largest training ground for gospel musicians, composers, and singers. Through the GMWA, James codified the standards of choral excellence and provided a platform for thousands of emerging artists to hone their craft. He was a prolific composer, penning over 400 songs that became standard repertoire in churches worldwide. His ability to arrange complex, jazz-inflected harmonies for mass choirs gave the genre a new majestic scale, making him the definitive bridge between the old-school pioneers and the contemporary icons of the modern era. By the time James Cleveland passed away on February 9, 1991, at the age of 59, he had garnered 4 Grammy Awards and became the first gospel artist to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was more than a singer, he was a mentor, a businessman, and a spiritual father to a generation of musicians. His legacy is etched into every choir loft and every gospel arrangement heard today. James taught the world that you don't need a perfect voice to deliver a perfect message. You only need a soul that is on fire. He ensured that gospel music would always have a professional home and a global stage, solidifying his reign as the eternal king of the genre. Peg McKamey Bean. Peg McKamey Bean was the unmistakable heart and soul of the McKameys, a family group that defined the warmth and sincerity of Southern gospel for over 6 decades. Born in 1938 in the mountains of Tennessee, Peg's musical journey was a family affair from the start. She didn't rely on the flashy, high-production aesthetics of pop gospel. Instead, her power lay in her raw, Appalachian-infused authenticity. Peg possessed a voice that was both tender and thunderous, capable of delivering a gentle invitation or a fiery proclamation of victory. Her most iconic moment came with the 1984 hit God on the Mountain, a song that became an enduring anthem for anyone facing life's valleys. When Peg sang, she didn't just perform, she ministered, often becoming so overwhelmed by the Spirit that she would kick off her shoes on stage, a gesture that became her beloved trademark and a symbol of her unpretentious devotion. Her genius was rooted in her relatability. Peg had an uncanny ability to select songs that spoke directly to the everyday struggles and triumphs of the common person. Under her leadership, the McKameys achieved an unprecedented string of 34 #1 hits on the Southern gospel charts, more than any other group in the genre's history. She was a master of the testimony song, where the lyrics felt like a conversation over a kitchen table rather than a formal sermon. Beyond the awards and accolades, including multiple Singing News Fan Awards and an induction into the Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame, Peg remained a humble servant of her community. She viewed the stage as an altar, and her exuberant handkerchief-waving joy reminded audiences that faith was not a somber obligation, but a vibrant living celebration. The Southern gospel community felt a profound loss when Peg McKamey Bean passed away on December 26, 2023, at the age of 85. Her departure marked the end of an era for the traditional mountain-style gospel that she had championed her entire life. Peg left behind a legacy of joyful resilience and unwavering family values. She proved that you didn't need a cathedral to find God. You only needed a sincere heart and a song that rang true. Today, her recordings continue to offer comfort to the weary, and the image of her barefoot on stage remains a testament to a woman who gave everything she had to her faith. Peg McKamey Bean didn't just sing about the mountain. She helped millions of people find the strength to climb it. Jessie Dixon. Jessie Dixon was a towering figure in the gospel world whose career served as a bridge between the traditional church pews and the global pop stage. Born in San Antonio in 1938 and later becoming a cornerstone of the Chicago music scene, Jessie was a musical polymath, an extraordinary pianist, a prolific songwriter, and a vocalist with a grit-infused soulful tenor. He gained early prominence as a protege of James Cleveland, but he soon established his own legendary group, the Jessie Dixon Singers. Jessie's unique genius lay in his ability to blend the intricate harmonies of classical music with the raw improvisational heat of the storefront church. His 1970s anthem, I Am Redeemed, became a staple in the African-American hymnal, showcasing his skill for writing melodies that were both musically sophisticated and spiritually accessible. Jessie's career took a historic turn when he caught the ear of pop icon Paul Simon. This unlikely collaboration led to Jessie touring the world for 8 years, with Simon performing at iconic venues like Central Park and introducing the fervent Chicago sound to millions of secular listeners who had never experienced the power of gospel. Jessie navigated these mainstream waters with unwavering integrity, never diluting his message for the sake of celebrity. He was a pioneer in the praise and worship movement, later becoming a permanent fixture in Bill Gaither's Homecoming series. His presence on these telecasts brought a vibrant, multicultural energy to the Southern gospel world, earning him 7 Grammy nominations, and proving that the spirit of song transcends racial and denominational boundaries. Until his passing on September 26, 2011, at the age of 73, Jessie Dixon remained a tireless student and teacher of the craft. He was a man of immense charm and a contagious, joyful spirit that radiated from the piano bench to the back row of every arena he filled. He composed songs for giants like Cher and Diana Ross, Yet he was most at home leading a choir in a spirited rendition of The Blood Will Never Lose Its Power. Jesse left behind a legacy of musical fearlessness and global ministry. He taught the world that gospel music wasn't just a genre, but a universal language of liberation. Today, his influence is felt in every artist who dares to take the message of the sanctuary into the marketplaces of the world, ensuring that the rhythm of redemption continues to beat in the hearts of listeners everywhere. Sally Martin. Sally Martin was the indispensable force that transformed gospel music from a localized church practice into a structured global industry. Born in Georgia in 1895, she moved to Chicago during the Great Migration, bringing with her a rugged, sanctified vocal style that refused to be polished by classical standards. While Thomas A. Dorsey was the genre's architect of melody, Sally Martin was its engineer of sustainability. In 1932, she teamed up with Dorsey to organize the National Convention of Gospel Choirs and Choruses, NCGCC, the first institution dedicated to training gospel artists. Her genius lay in her administrative iron will. She traveled across the Jim Crow South, often at great personal risk, to establish choirs and sell sheet music, effectively creating the first national distribution network for Black sacred music. As a vocalist, Sally Martin was a revolutionary of the shout tradition. Her voice was not characterized by operatic sweetness, but by a percussive emotional depth that emphasized conviction over technical perfection. She founded the Sally Martin Singers in 1940, the first all-female gospel group to tour professionally. This move shattered the gender barriers of the era, proving that women could lead, manage, and headline within the spiritual marketplace. She was also the first to recognize the talent of a young Dinah Washington, serving as a mentor to the future Queen of the Blues. Sally's business acumen led her to co-found Martin and Morris Music Studio, which became the most successful Black-owned gospel publishing house in the United States, ensuring that composers received their rightful royalties for the first time. By the time she passed away on June 18, 1988, at the age of 92, Sally Martin had lived to see the music she nurtured become a global phenomenon. She was a woman of immense dignity and foresight, who understood that for a spiritual message to endure, it needed a solid economic and organizational foundation. She wasn't just a singer, she was a pioneer who paved the way for every female executive and artist in the industry today. Her legacy is found in the professional standards of the gospel choir and the independence of the Black songwriter. Sally Martin didn't just sing the gospel, she built the house it lives in, ensuring that the good news would be sung with both passion and professional excellence for generations to come. Bishop Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson was a charismatic titan who bridged the gap between traditional Pentecostal fervor and high-production urban gospel. Born in San Diego in 1953 and mentored by Earl Roberts, Pearson became a global phenomenon in the 1990s through his Azusa conferences and recordings. His genius lay in his ability to revitalize the mass choir sound, infusing it with a polished orchestral grandeur that felt both ancient and futuristic. Under his baton, the Azusa Mass Choir produced a string of hits that became the sonic template for modern worship. He possessed a velvety baritone and a magnetic stage presence that could command tens of thousands, making him the face of a new, inclusive, and technologically savvy gospel era. He didn't just sing, he curated spiritual experiences that integrated jazz, soul, and traditional hymns into a seamless tapestry of praise. However, Pearson's legacy is defined as much by his courage as by his music. At the height of his fame, he underwent a theological shift toward the gospel of inclusion, suggesting that a loving God would not condemn humanity to eternal hell. This radical stance led to him being branded a heretic by the Orthodox establishment, resulting in the loss of his megachurch and his exclusion from the very industry he helped build. Yet this exile only solidified his status as a pioneer. He became a beacon for marginalized believers, proving that faith could evolve. His music remained a testament to his expansive vision of grace, influencing artists like Kanye West and John Legend, who sampled his work to capture that specific Azusa brand of spiritual electricity. When Bishop Carlton Pearson passed away on November 19, 2023, at the age of 70, after a battle with cancer, the music world mourned a man who chose conscience over career. He left behind a legacy of immense musical sophistication and intellectual bravery. He taught a generation that the good news was meant to be truly good for everyone. His albums, particularly the Azusa Praise series, remain benchmarks of choral excellence, characterized by their lush arrangements and unbridled joy. Pearson was a man who broke the walls of the sanctuary to let the whole world in, ensuring that his voice and his message of unconditional love would continue to resonate as a powerful melodic call for unity in a divided world. Rance Allen. Rance Allen was a vocal acrobat who fundamentally changed the texture of gospel music by infusing it with the grit and groove of Stax-era R&B. Born in 1948 in Monroe, Michigan, Rance was a self-taught multi-instrumentalist who, along with his brothers in the Rance Allen Group, defied the conventional boundaries of the church. He possessed a staggering 4-octave range characterized by a rapid-fire vibrato and a falsetto that could pierce the heavens. In the 1970s, he became the first gospel artist signed to the legendary soul label Stax Records. His music wasn't just for Sunday morning. It was designed to compete with the funk and soul hits on the radio, using heavy bass lines and soaring electric guitars to deliver a message of unwavering faith. Rance's genius was his ability to sanctify secular sounds without losing their rhythmic punch. His reimagining of his Temptations' Just My Imagination as Just My Salvation became a landmark in the evolution of contemporary gospel, proving that spiritual lyrics could thrive atop a soulful urban beat. He was a master of the vocal run, a technique he used to convey an almost supernatural level of joy and intensity. Beyond his studio brilliance, Rance was a beloved bishop in the Church of God in Christ, COGIC, maintaining a deep pastoral connection to his community. He garnered 5 Grammy nominations and was a mainstay in the gospel world for over 50 years, influencing icons from Kirk Franklin to Fred Hammond with his fearless approach to genre bending. When Rance Allen passed away on October 31, 2020, at the age of 71, the world lost its most soulful singing preacher. He left behind a legacy that bridged the gap between the gritty soul of the streets and the sacred fire of the sanctuary. He taught a generation that you didn't have to choose between musical excellence and spiritual devotion. You could have both delivered with a backbeat that made the soul dance. His voice remains an enduring symbol of vocal freedom, a reminder that the loudest and most rhythmic praises can often be the most sincere. Rance Allen didn't just sing the gospel, he made it Rosetta. It groove, ensuring that the sound of the Spirit would always be as vibrant as it is divine. Inez Andrews. Inez Andrews was a vocal powerhouse whose glass-shattering range and emotive depth earned her a seat among the pantheon of gospel royalty. Born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1929, Inez grew up immersed in the fiery traditions of the Southern Church. Her career skyrocketed in the mid-1950s when she joined the legendary group The Caravans under the leadership of Albertina Walker. Known as the group's secret weapon, Inez possessed a staggering contralto that could plummet to a rich, gravelly low and then soar into an operatic high-register wail that left audiences breathless. Her 1958 lead on Mary Don't You Weep became a definitive moment in gospel history. Her improvisational shouts and rhythmic timing on that track set a new standard for vocal excellence that influenced everyone from Aretha Franklin to Whitney Houston. Inez's genius lay in her ability to marry technical virtuosity with raw spiritual grit. She was a master of the moan, a deep, soulful vocalization that conveyed centuries of struggle and hope. In the 1970s, as a solo artist, she achieved massive crossover success with the hit Lord Don't Move the Mountain, which proved that traditional blues-infused gospel still had a powerful place on the national charts. Throughout her career, she remained a fierce protector of the golden age sound, refusing to dilute the intensity of her message for modern trends. She was often referred to as the high priestess of the genre, a woman whose voice was an instrument of both immense power and delicate vulnerability. When Inez Andrews passed away on December 19, 2012, at the age of 83, the world lost the last of the great caravan voices. She left behind a legacy of uncompromising vocal brilliance and a discography that serves as a masterclass for aspiring singers. She was a Dove Award winner and a member of the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, but her truest accolade was the sheer awe she inspired every time she opened her mouth to sing. Inez Andrews didn't just reach for the notes. She conquered them, reminding us that the human voice is the most powerful bridge between the earthly and the divine. Her songs remain a sturdy fortress of faith, ensuring that the high-octane spirit of traditional gospel will never be silenced. As we close this tribute on Black Excellence Legends, we are left with a powerful question. Who truly defines the pinnacle of gospel? From the electric defiance of Sister Rosetta Tharpe to the harmonic genius of Andre Crouch, each of these 20 icons fundamentally reshaped the landscape of global music. Was it the King James Cleveland who did the most for the genre, or do the raw mountaintop melodies of McKamey Bean hold more spiritual weight? We've laid out the legends, but the final rank is up to you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who did we miss, and who is your undisputed greatest of all time?